You are watching the Deadfoot Diver podcast with Curt, the Deadfoot Diver.
Welcome to the Deadfoot Diver podcast. I am pleased today to have with me Captain Jeremy McDonald from the Canadian Armed Forces and also the owner of Yellowknife Divers. How's it going, Jeremy?
Hey, loving life, living the dream up here. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, well, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
And by the way, thank you for your service because our veterans do not get enough respect.
I appreciate that.
So, first of all, tell me, I came across your profile, actually. I was Googling military divers, and you actually had a profile come up on the Canadian military website about all of your diving experience and your show, which I thought was amazing.
Yeah. That's really the military is just my surface intervals that keeps me going in between dives.
So, when did you first start diving?
I started diving, it was actually 1994. I was in Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu during French training, just as an officer cadet back then. And one of the guys in the squadron was like, hey, let's do this diving course. So we met a PADI instructor in Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu and jumped into the river there a couple times and then got certified. So that was,
Wow.
30 years ago.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, originally, weren't you actually going to go through for a clearance diver?
That was the original plan. I had a buddy of mine that I was going to university with in St. John, and HMCS Brunswicker had a dive unit with a bunch of clearance divers in there, and it was one of those things that if you knew somebody who was in as a diver and there was an opening, then you could kind of slide in. So my buddy invited me to come when somebody else decided to pull pin. So I went down to the unit. I met a petty officer who gave me all the paperwork I needed to get to the recruiting center. And then I went to the recruiting center and they said, yeah, we can process this, reserve Navy diver paperwork, but we can make it full time. But it's going to be in the Army, not the Navy. And you're going to be an officer in the Armor Corps, not a diver. And me foolishly believing their intent, signed, and then as opposed to going Navy, I veered off right then and went Army instead.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So whereabouts have you served in the armed forces?
Yeah, mostly all across Canada. So I mean, it's an opportunity to see a lot of the country. So it's been British Columbia, Ontario, Yellowknife up north, New Brunswick, Quebec, back and forth between different regions. Served down in the States, did a bunch of work with Homeland Security down at a place called Glencoe, Georgia. Got to deploy to Germany to work with training Ukrainians. So yeah, it's a good opportunity to see a lot of the country, definitely, for sure.
Yeah, really cool. So how did you go about starting Yellowknife Divers? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so actually I had taken a break from diving. Like it was one of those things that I didn't get hooked right away. So I did my basic course in 99 and didn't do any diving, or 94. I did my basic course and then set it aside. And then I was on vacation and decided to do the advanced course to go scuba diving and see, dolphins and stuff in the Dominican Republic. Set it aside again. It would like the hook didn't set, and we were back in New Brunswick. We were in Fredericton, New Brunswick, and there was a pastor at the church where I was going to, and he was passionate about diving and said, hey, you want to come? And it's like, yeah, it's been a while. Let's do a refresher and jump in. And we went down to the St. John River, and it was some of the worst diving I'd ever had. Like the visibility, it was murky. Like you could see maybe this far, and we kept losing each other. But what happened during that dive is we found some lady's purse, and
wow.
We got up to the shore and we opened it up, and we, it's this ID cards and stuff. Like the money's gone, but it's like, her ID, her kid's ID, her birth certificate, social insurance number, all that kind of stuff in there. So in 2014, we go on Facebook, track this lady down, and I message her, say, "Hey, we're divers. We were in the St. John River. We found your purse." And so we asked the question, like, what happened? Like, she goes, "I was down in Fredericton from out of town with my kids. We were staying at a hotel. Somebody broke into our van, stole the DVD players and purse, and yeah." And she goes, "Was there any money in it?" I said, "No, it was cleaned out, like, but you can have your IDs."
Yeah.
Like, she goes, "Next time I'm in town, I'll reach out." And I said, "Great, we'll hang on to it." So I take this purse, I take it home, and I take all the IDs out, and I'm drying it out, and I do the obligatory, like, "Here's what I found" picture. And I realize there's this old school $1 bill tucked in. So between her birth certificate and social insurance number, excuse me. And she goes, I didn't tell her about it. I was just like, "Oh, there was some money." Well, she comes down a couple of months later and give her this purse back. And so, by the way, found this $1 bill in there. And she goes, she starts crying at the sight of this $1 bill. And I ask her, it's like, "What's going on?" And she goes, "That $1 bill, that was from my dad when he was dying." And she goes, the message that he left with her was, "When you see this, know that I'm watching over you and everything's going to be okay." And the reason she was in
Wow.
town, she was going for her first cancer treatment. So just that moment of serendipity of, here's a message from your dad that you had thought was lost at that time and space where you're going through this emotional stuff. So it was like, it was kind of that a moment, like, you don't realize what the value of a thing is to somebody else, but that meant an immense, like, a ton to her. So then that wanting to be in those moments of finding people's things was what really got me hooked on diving. And so I just started doing more and more of that. And then I got posted back to Yellowknife. And it was one of those things where it's like, nobody was doing diving up here. So it was easy. Anytime you go off a dock, it's like, "Oh, here's 4 cell phones and here's a bunch of other stuff that we found." But because Yellowknife is so small, if you post finding those things, normally within a few minutes, it's like, "Oh, that's, Bobby's, or that's Sue's, or that's whoever's." So it was just that in itself became the addiction, is like the searching and finding for things.
Yeah, that would actually be really cool. And I guess, yeah, Yellowknife. What's the population of Yellowknife
It's
now?
about 20,000.
20,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's still relatively small. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's the amazing thing about the internet is you can find people. It's unbelievable how easy it is to track down people you haven't even seen in like 30 or 40 years.
Oh,
So
yeah. And well, especially in Yellowknife, everyone's like 1 degree of separation. Like, you can pick any person in town pretty much, and then you find out you have like 4 friends in common.
yeah. Yeah, I know that from living up in the Arctic. It's you definitely get to know everybody around, and everybody gets to know you. So good or bad. So, how with all of the diving that you do, I mean, you had a cable TV show even called "Shit I Found Diving." So tell me a bit about that and how you got started
Yep.
doing the TV show.
Yeah. So there was a couple of steps in between there. What happened was, one of these dives, I was down at the one of the docks and I found an anchor. And this thing was a beast. Like, it weighed probably 100 pounds, had this massive
Wow.
thick chain with the links about that size, 20 feet of that. And, damn near broke myself getting it out of the water. It was like float bags and then tying things up to the shore and then hauling it up. Anyway, I posted this thing. Kind of the method that I had for finding people's stuff is, if I could identify the owner, it's like, "Here's your thing." And if it was like
Yep.
something of interest, but you can't tell who the owner is, then it's just like, "Oh, I'll post it on, classified ads up here." And so, like, stuff like anchors, people lose like little boat anchors all the time. So, and
Yeah.
who do you tell whose anchor is whose, right? Unless they say, yeah, I lost anchor. Anyway, so post this. So I post this thing, and I always put a little bit of humor into the postings. Like this one, it's like, I don't know when the last time a battleship was here in town, but I've got this massive anchor. And somebody had posted a comment. He's like, I'm not gonna buy the anchor, but I love your comments. You know, you should do a post about or a page about the shit you find diving, word for word. And I said, tell you what, anybody buys this stupid anchor because my wife is getting pissed because it's in the driveway, uh, I'll start shit I found diving. And sure enough, that afternoon, some lady was like, yeah, I'll buy that anchor, $100. I'd want it for kind of a lawn ornament kind of thing. I said, okay. And so right after that, shit I found diving was born.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
So, what's it like diving up in the Arctic? I mean, what are the conditions like? What's the water temperature like, even during the summer?
Yeah. Yesterday it was 2 degrees. We did some ice diving, so that was 2 degrees just below, which was, not too bad. So that's the coldest Great Slave Lake gets, at least. During the summer, surface temps can get up to about 20 degrees Celsius, but there's always the thermocline at about 30 feet deep whenever we go to, regardless of which lake. It's just there's always a cold level, and that's where it goes. So it gets to 8 degrees, I think, is the kind of the norm at depth in the summer.
So, have you guys noticed over the last few years? I know that here, for instance, I dive in Tobermory all the time
Nice.
because it's hour and a half north of me. Yeah, it's awesome living so close to Tobermory. I mean, I can literally be at the tugs in an hour and a half from my house.
Yeah.
So, what we noticed over the last year when I've been diving is how warm the water is, especially here compared to what it's been like back when I started diving in the 90s. And even people who've been diving consistently through that time is how warm the water is. Do you notice a big difference there as well?
Yeah, I think last year was kind of interesting that Great Slave Lake, the water level was down significantly, like a meter or so for a good chunk of the summer.
Wow.
It was so bad that the Mackenzie River, the flow rate was so low that they actually couldn't do barges for one of the first times up and down the
Really?
river. Yeah. So
Wow.
when you think of the size of the area of the lake surface and just how much water that is that's missing, that was really significant. I mean, that impacts logistics in the north. So I mean, Yukon has all kinds of highways. NWT has some highways, and you know, the Mackenzie River is a highway for people, especially for moving goods. So
Yep.
that was a huge change this year. So we're hoping that springs back. Um, but I had seen some reports online that there's fresh waters all over North America are in decline. Like the watersheds have lost or aren't bounding back. So that we do notice. I did notice this year that kind of ice breakups in the smaller rivers was earlier than previous years. So I mean, I can look at temperatures for the past couple of years diving from diving logs and see what the water was like. So we did see a slight increase. So that might mean like getting in the water 3 weeks earlier. We did definitely stayed in the water last year compared to like 5 years ago. So there is something changing for sure. So what the significance of that? Like, ask a scientist. Just as a guy in the water, you notice like things are slightly different.
Yeah. Do you notice as well? Have you noticed any effect on the marine life as well over the last few years with the global warming and stuff?
Yeah, I guess talking with the commercial fishermen in town, they say there's been a decline in their catch. So I mean, Yellowknife small community, so you go down to the dock and you can ask a guy, hey, you got any fish? Or sometimes what I'll do is people say, hey, can you check the prop on my boat? And I'll say, sure, pay me in trout or pickerel or whatever fish you have when you get some. And yeah, they were all kind of lamenting that the catch wasn't as great. as well. So something's happening there. Again, the significance of that, I don't know. You'd have to ask a scientist, but it's just the locals do notice that something is changing.
Yeah, I've a couple of the guests that I've had on for my podcast, actually several of them have all noticed in different environments that they've been diving that there's been a lot less marine life compared to previous years. I mean, I know I was in Jamaica this year and I was shocked actually with how little marine life there was compared to like when I went diving in Cozumel a year ago.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's definitely affecting the wildlife for sure.
Yeah.
So tell me bit more about the instructing you do, and also some of the harbor cleanup and stuff that you guys do with Yellowknife Divers.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things for me, I kind of realized and learned that the motive for diving was I have PTSD from stuff earlier in life, and it's just like diving is the happy place. Um, so I started to learn about other people who are using PTS or scuba diving to help treat PTSD or people with kind of mental health issues.
Yep.
I had a couple incidents up here where some of my co-workers, other military members, were suicidal, and that required direct intervention on the two occasions that were up here that really stand out for me. And
Wow.
just you kind of do that link of, hey, I have a mental health issue. This is a happy place. I started offering, or I spent the time to become an instructor, just because I was getting addicted to the scuba diving. But then I started offering, like, if you can identify somebody who's got one of those issues, get them in the pool, get them something to try, give them something just to be maybe some social about, or give them a chance. That was kind of my main motive was to, you saw these guys coming out of Afghanistan in different conflicts with these issues, and just let's try and pull them back from the brink and get them something healthy or something else to focus on. Was really the big motive and the big push. So we set up I would, on my own time, like on vacations, I went and did, rescue diver, dive master, and open water instructor. And I had, for the open water instructor, I did it in Utila. And I mean, it was going to be better part of a month off. So I made a deal with the commanding officer that if he gave me the time off, that I had to set up a scuba club and then had to teach military members kind of at cost for doing PADI training. So that was great for me. I got some free vacation time to go down and do that. But when we got back, we actually put the pieces in place to set up within the military, a recreational club for scuba. And ever since then, it was like for military members and RCMP, the diving was just like cover the costs. So it's kind of a fun way to get people into the water. So
Yeah,
that was
that's
the thing.
amazing.
Thanks.
I mean, diving definitely, like you said, is amazing for PTSD and other mental issues.
Yeah.
I've noticed it a huge difference in me just since I started diving again this year. It's gone from like very depressed to I got my life back again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's amazing. What types of differences have you seen in people that you've worked with teaching them scuba, and how much it's impacted them as far
Yeah.
as their mental health goes and PTSD?
Yeah, that's I mean, it's all anecdotal. I've never really done a study, but people seem happier, engaged. Um, I guess what you notice is people kind of have a light. Like if somebody's on the edge and you see that they're going to kill themselves, or they see that they're really hurting, you just you get them engaged, you get them out, you get them doing something, and that the darkness that's on them kind of goes away. Um, so yeah, that you see them spring back and be part of be part of society, or be part of the group, or be just engaged. So those are, think that would be the big change right there.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean,
You got
yeah,
you got me in the
I
feels with that question. Jeez.
sorry, I know exactly what you mean. It has such a profound impact on people's lives being underwater that you cannot describe it.
Yeah,
And I mean, depression, I know with me too, I get a lot of relief from just pain when I'm diving.
yeah.
I noticed this summer that when I was diving a couple of times a week minimum, I was in a lot less pain
Yeah,
afterwards.
for sure.
So
It's that whole
yeah, it's
being
amazing.
weightless. It's that whole focusing on your breathing. Just you're getting in the Zen moment. You're just working on surviving, but being comfortable and enjoying where you're at. So it's like all the stuff that's up above is up there and away for a while.
Yeah, which is amazing. I mean, how many veterans do you have diving with you now?
Well, that's the thing. It's our issue is that everyone gets posted. So I've got this cycle that every year, 30% of my friends disappear, just because they come up. For whatever reason, I've been able to stay in Yellowknife for 14 years. So
Wow.
the military has a 3 or 4 year posting cycle. So every year, you got to say goodbye to some of the crew. Um, so right now, I think the active ones are probably about 15 people. People who kind of show up and have done it a couple of times might be about 50 people. But it's always that, a bunch of people leave and then a bunch of new people come back.
Yeah, how have you managed to avoid getting moved for 14 years and stay in Yellowknife?
Yeah, it cost. So I mean, it put me in the Captain for Life club. So you're basically saying, hey, I don't want to talk about career progression. I want quality of life. So I just managed to stay. There were different positions up here that I could jump into. I was probably due to be posted out, and I had the Brigadier General talk to my career manager on my behalf, and he was like, "Oh, we want to keep him here and post him in this position." So that helped out a lot when you got a Brigadier General talking on your behalf. Um, and then COVID hit, so there's another kind of like no, they shut down the postings, and just everything lined up that way to be able to stay here for so long.
Well, that's awesome that you've been able to stay there so long. And I mean, I could see why they wouldn't want you to move because of the impact that you're having on all the people up there.
Oh yeah, that's the thing too. It's like my training is as an armored officer, so I'm not Navy at all. I'm not a diver in the military, but it was just like that's the thing I've become known for. Um, Normally, when somebody's posted in and you're meeting them for the first time, one of my first questions is, "Do you scuba dive? Do you want to?" And that's what I'm known for. Um, but yeah, it's been a great run up here. I'm actually retiring, so my last day in uniform is next week. So
Oh, wow,
yeah,
congrats.
thank you. So 30 years, I
So
feel like I've made it or something. You hit the finish
30
line.
years.
Yeah,
Holy smokes.
yeah.
That's amazing. Well, thank you again for your service. And so are you just gonna what's your plans when you're retired?
I'm not very good at retirement. I already started a new job. I'm rolling over to the Coast Guard. So
Really?
they have a position here. So I'm going to be the superintendent for Arctic security. So
Wow.
we're working on northern security issues with communities and other government departments on behalf of Coast Guard of Canada.
Wow, that'd be a very interesting post. So what's your job going to involve with there? And are they going to have you be doing some diving and training with their guys as well?
So I've already started with the diving club for the fisheries and oceans up here. So there was a workplace charitable campaign where people donate to like United Way. So
Yep.
I said anybody who donated $200 to United Way, I would do a pool, referral course in the pool. So
Yep.
3 to 4 sessions. So I had about 8 people within Fisheries and Oceans jump on that. So I got my new scuba club starting at my new job. So
And are you still you're still gonna run both clubs though?
oh yeah. The town is so small, especially on the federal side, that like for Joint Task Force North, we already let RCMP or any other organization kind of join in as well. So it'll be the same thing. Like all the DFO people can join the JTFN club. So it'll just be one massive club.
Cool. That's really
Yeah.
cool. So what kind of what's the most interesting thing that you've ever found in the Arctic? Because I
Oh
mean,
man.
with all the historical stuff that's happened up there, you got to have found some pretty cool old stuff.
Yeah, there's I actually had a top 10 list. Scuba diving in the North top 10 list. Let me just pull that up. Um, anything
Top
kind of,
10 list. I don't have a top 10 list.
yeah. And it changes. I think I've added in the past year. It's just there's a lot of fun, goofy ones. It's like we were diving in the Yellowknife River, and we had found a Yellowknife River sign that some kids had obviously thrown in. Oh, that was actually that's so we're in the Yellowknife River, and we see this road sign, the Yellowknife River. So we giggle like, "Oh, hey, now we know exactly where we're at. No questioning this dive site." But we get it to the surface and we post it like I always do that. Like, here's what we found today. And some kids were actually in the comment section. Hey, there's the sign we threw in the in the water. So I reply to them. It's like you're realizing you're admitting to vandalism right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they deleted their post, and I let that one slide. Shotguns, rifles were always kind of a fun thing. Um, Oh yeah, this was neat. Found this the other day. I had somebody remake it. So there's a fillet knife that was
Wow.
we found that in one of the rivers, and then I had a coworker in the military. He does woodworking and leatherwork, so he put everything back together. But this is
Cool.
the fillet knife was engraved. It was F. Ontorini hand ground stainless steel is the writing that's on there. So that's
Huh.
it's a famous Finnish company that does fillet knives, and when they still do the grinding today, but they now stamp it in. But that engraving that they had, they said that was from about the 50s or 60s. So we just found that
Wow.
last summer. So that's that was kind of a fun little one. Oh, I should
Cool.
send you this video. There was this one funny one. And Yellowknife's so small is that when people lose stuff in the water, it's like word of mouth now. Like, oh, call Jeremy. But we found this one. We were swimming near the houseboats, and normally in the water you find things that are like fishing related or boating related, like things that belong on the water. Uh,
Yeah.
this one time we found a microphone, like
A
a
microphone.
singing mic, and we're like, okay, well this is not one, throw it in the bag. But we posted that we'd found it, and the funny thing was they had a video of when Buddy lost it, and it was a local group that were on top of one of the houseboats, and they were doing a music video. And Buddy's got the microphone, he's rocking it out, so he grabs the string on the mic and he's spinning it, and the thing goes flying off. And the look on his face, he's just like, huh? So whatever they were recording stopped that day. But yeah, some of the funner ones, like we found an oil seep. So there was oil bubbling up out of the bottom of the lake. We thought there was a boat that was in
Wow.
there. Uh, Gold was another one. There's some places where there's quartz veins underwater with visible gold in it. So you can go diving and actually see gold, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, actually, I was actually just watching the episode where you guys were going and doing some dredging for gold
Yeah.
up there. So, have you actually? How much money have you actually made from doing any of your gold finding?
I would say 0.0 pennies. Um, like the where we do the gold dredging, that's a friend of mine. He has the mineral rights for that island. So I mean, anything we
Yeah.
find is his to start off. but we just do it for the fun of it. Like, hey, it's been one of those mental games of, how can you get stuff up off the bottom? So that was like, oh, let's do a, suction elevator where you take a tube, you put an air bubble in, and as the bubble rises, it creates suction. And just, it's been this weird progress of, what if this will work? And then you plan a thing, and then you fly out and you try it, and it doesn't work. So you got to go back to the drawing board and try something new. So we're not professional miners by any stretch.
So have you actually found any decent sized nuggets?
Oh yeah. There's some like the visible gold. It's to a point where it's not. I mean, it's not like nuggets. Like what's that guy out in BC? Pioneer Polly. Like he's got.
Yep.
He goes out and actually finds like large ounces of gold kind of thing. No, we got like they're flecks of gold, but you can see them in the quartz. So yeah, we've got rocks that like, oh, here, this is a piece of gold. Like if you look at this angle this way, there's a little piece of gold there, kind of thing. And all the gold is fused with the quartz here, right? So it's not like you can go panning for gold effectively here. So it's a different.
Yeah, you guys use like some weird hand rock crushing machine, right?
Yeah. That was fun. That turns everything into like the size of pepper, and then you can pan those ones. So that's my friend Geezer. He's just yeah. I think Geezer's what I'm gonna be in my future life. Like some just kind of crazy guy who's got ideas on things and is willing to go take anyone along for the ride. I recognize. Yeah, I'm not. What am I saying? I'm not going to be like Geezer. That's how I am now. It's just like, hey, anybody want to do this? Yeah, okay, let's go. God, that was yesterday.
Yeah.
Even yesterday, we had we were doing this ice diving, and I just messaged kind of the dive group like, we're doing this. If anyone wants to come to visit, great. If anyone wants to learn how to be a line tender to help out future adventures, that would be awesome. And then somebody came out and I want to learn to line tend. Like, great. I want you to learn how to line tend. You're now my tender.
Yeah, line tending's a bit of a drag, especially if it's minus 40 or whatever. So do you guys actually ice dive a lot during the winter up there?
No, it's too painful to get through the ice. Like when the ice is 3 feet thick, like you need a massive. Do you see the size of the chainsaw that my buddy has for doing those things? He's got this chainsaw with a 5 foot long blade. So every time we go out, I have to. Yeah, he doesn't like doing it. He gets soaked. It's his entire day, but wasn't too bad. Yesterday, the ice was only about 18 inches thick, so we were able to get through it fairly quick.
Wow, that's not bad then. So, and how many divers did you actually have that dove yesterday?
3. So yeah,
that's it.
It was yeah.
You can only get 3 divers to go ice diving.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And by the way, we're also on your favorite podcast platforms now. We are on Amazon. We are on Spotify. We are on iHeartRadio. We are on Player FM and Podchaser. All of the descriptions are going to be down below, so make sure you check us out. Thanks. Have a great day. And remember, grab an adventure and live.
Well, the thing is, not everyone has a dry suit up here, right? It's like how long was it before you bought your first dry suit kind of thing? I mean, you tried diving someplace warm, you get it, and then you think you want to do it in Canada, and then you get a wetsuit. Like it's normally kind of years before people get to that level. My thing is with people getting posted all the time, I only got them for 3 years, so at the point they're ready to leave, they're like, I might get a wetsuit. I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, see you in 5 years when you get your dry suit. Come on back.
Yeah, and dry suits aren't cheap by any means.
Yeah. Well, it was a training event, so I did have my son come out. So we did his dry suit and his ice diving introduction. So it was
cool.
Good to get my son into those ones.
How old's your son?
23.
And how long's he been diving for?
God, 7 years. I took him
Wow.
when he was a teenager. We went down to Mexico. So I think I was doing rescue diver, and so he and his sister came along and they did their open water and advanced at the same time.
Cool. So do your kids dive a lot?
Whenever they're around me.
Is that by force?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. Daddy loves you. Jump in the water. Ah!
I want to go diving. I don't want to have to
Yeah.
worry about you
Yeah.
today. Get over here.
Well, it was my son. He's up right now with his girlfriend. She came up and she was in an episode a couple of years ago. She's from Honduras. She does not like the diving up here. But we all went down last year to meet her family, who are still in Roatan. So then we all went diving down there. So I think her dad was happy. He was a diver, and then none of his kids, like his daughters, weren't interested in it. So now he's got, one of his daughters interested. It was just a neat bonding experience. Let's go do this diving. Let's see what we can see. And, I mean, you're in Utila at that point and just having a grand time.
Oh yeah. So do your wife dives as well?
Yeah, she's a dive master.
She's the dive master. So,
Yeah.
Okay, now I got to ask this question. What's it like diving with your wife? Because I ask this with everybody who comes on who has to partner with their wife diving.
Yeah, Claire is really good. She's a real good diver. She's a bit more cautious. So unfortunately, my risk tolerance level is a bit higher than hers is. Whereas I look at sketchy stuff and like, yeah, I could probably do this. Let's try it. Like, it makes sense. And she's like, nope, that doesn't look safe at all. Not interested. I don't want to play with you. She's definitely a warm weather diver. So she'll come out for like the cleanups and stuff and help out with those. But if I'm like going to the dock to find somebody's cell phone, she's like, no, not interested. Not worth my time. Not worth my effort. Like, I'm going to come out with you for a 6-second dive. Like, no.
Yeah, well, I kind of get that point being up there and with the cold water.
Yeah.
I going in for a cell phone would kind of be a drag if you knew exactly where it was. I'd have to make an excuse to stay. I'd stay in because there's no way I would bother to get it up for a 6-minute dive to go in and pull somebody's cell phone out that
6
they
minutes.
dropped right down.
But I said seconds. Some of these dives, like when people lose their cell phones, they're like, I lost it right here off the dock. And sure enough, you drop down and there it is. Pick up the phone, it's still on, and pass it back to them. Like man, I spent 20 minutes getting down here, getting getting dressed, getting geared up, and I'm gonna spend another 10 minutes. Like, yeah, I'm the ridiculous one for doing those things. She actually makes fun of me.
So-
She's lovely. She goes, you have a hero complex. You need to be people's hero for finding these things. I said, well, it's a motivation. Yeah, like it's okay to like being thanked for. Sometimes I think I'm like Liam Neeson, like I have a very unique set of skills and I will find your stuff for you. But yeah, she's definitely up for it anytime we go someplace warm or interesting or that has clear water.
So your son started dry suit diving yesterday. What did he think of diving in a dry suit? Because I mean, it's a lot different than diving in a wetsuit.
He was really good. Like we actually filmed it, so we're gonna make an episode of the show for that.
Cool.
So in the pool, like I was trying to turtle him, so I flipped him upside down in the pool. I put a bunch of air into his suit and like trying to get him to float to the surface and roll and understand how that feels. But he's like, as soon as he started going up, he was rolling, flipping, arm up, dumping air, and venting excess air. I'm like, man, you're really good at that. Like, well done.
Wow.
I was really proud of how quickly he picked it up in the pool. And then under the ice.
Awesome.
Yeah. Under the ice, we did have one point where he started ascending. And as he's going up, I just like, remember your head, ice. And he looks up and like, oh yeah. So he kind of rolled over and got his tank up so his head didn't hit the ice. we were only a few feet down at that point, so it wasn't a big deal. But he was like, "Oh yeah, there's something hard above you," and like, "Yeah, man, 18 inches of ice, you're not breaking through that, even with that thick skull of yours."
Yeah. I mean, yeah, dry suit diving is definitely it definitely takes practice. I mean, when I started diving again this year, I threw in a tank in Cozumel last November. I come back
Yep.
to Canada and then all of a sudden it's like my wife's like, "Okay, you got to start doing this like for you like all the time, right?" So I'm like, "The only way I'm doing that's in a dry suit. I'm a wimp. I hate cold. Like
Yeah.
absolutely hate cold." So I mean, I go and I hadn't dove in a dry suit in 25 years.
Yeah.
So I get a dry suit. I mean, I did okay with it. I took some time, went through one of the online courses and stuff, went through stuff. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, no big deal. But
Yeah.
it was definitely an adjustment getting used to it. And not only that, with my disabilities, I had that to adapt to it as well
Yeah.
at the same time.
So that
So that
that was a pretty significant accident you had. So it was a motocross accident.
Yeah, it was a motocross accident. I went over a jump and I got cut off in midair and I landed on a kicker bump and I got cartwheeled over the bike and the bike actually landed on my foot. So I thought that I had just
Yeah.
messed up my foot and then also that I thought I'd like did something up in my hip, but I didn't think it was that bad at the time. I actually went and actually borrowed a set of crutches for the day and watched racing for the rest of the day. And then the next day I found out that, yeah, I'd actually shoved my femur up through the acetabulum and blew my sciatic nerve apart.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was nasty. I have no movement or feeling below my left knee. And on top of that, I'm also heavily pinned and plated in my right leg from a previous motocross accident that I had 2 years before that. And I'm blind in my left eye now. So
Oh man.
yeah, pretty
Well, you
significant
you
injuries,
definitely
but
seem to have developed a positive attitude about it. And you're like, is this a happy to be alive feeling, or is it a
I would say more happy to be diving again.
okay?
You know, as guys you've worked with PTSD and stuff. For me, it was the same thing. It was years of depression,
Yeah.
chronic pain. Then on top of it, they add all the opioids in, and well, we all know where the opioids go,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So it wasn't until I started diving again that I actually like felt like I was alive.
Hmm.
And I mean, I used to be a professional diver back in the 90s, and I honestly, that has been the only thing. I've done a lot of cool stuff over my life, but that's the coolest thing and the only thing in my life that I have honestly felt that I've been really good at and really enjoyed was diving.
Yeah, for sure.
So, sorry, uh, for, for me to be able to get diving again is I like dream come true, and even now, especially since I'm disabled.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely feel that.
So
I'm glad you're able to find that and get some relief from kind of the emotional stuff. Like that's heavy, like losing the mobility and the sight. It's just that's life changing. You think your life is going to be set, you're going to live forever, and I'm admittedly starting to feel it too. Like I turned 50 this year, so you start like, oh, the knee hurts all the time, the shoulder hurts all the time. You realize those aches and pains aren't going away, but you had some pretty big ones fairly recently.
yeah, yeah.
So that's awesome to find something that kind of gives you that relief and brings you back. So I'm proud of you for that.
You
That's
know,
good.
Thanks, man. I'm so happy, and I mean that's the other reason I'm doing this podcast is to inspire people
Yeah.
and hopefully show them the positive aspects of diving and what it can do.
Yeah.
I've actually been talking a lot with Jim Elliott from Dive Heart
Yep.
down in the States.
Yeah, for sure.
And Jim's an incredible guy. His organization does incredible stuff with people of all types of disabilities. So, you know, that's been really inspiring for me as well. And not only that, I'm actually going to be training to become an adaptive dive buddy this year.
Nice.
I was actually supposed to go. I actually was supposed to go get certified a couple of weeks ago until I did this.
Yeah.
So now I got a third disability I'm dealing with temporarily. So, and I don't even have a good bragging story for this one. I fell.
Nice.
So, but yeah, that's my whole goal, is to become an adaptive dive buddy, because I mean, I met an adaptive lady in Cozumel on the dive boat, and she was the one that inspired me to start diving again. If it wasn't for her, I probably would have never threw a scuba tank on again, honestly.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And that's the thing about diving, like you can always find something new to inspire, to jump into, to learn. So I mean, like being the adaptive buddy, that's
Yeah,
been
no,
one
it's
that
it's
I've wanted to
incredible,
do
and
up
I'm
here.
actually
Oh, go ahead.
I'm actually going to be starting to do technical diving this year as well.
Okay, very cool. So you're
So
thinking like
yeah, I'm actually being
rebreather or
excited.
what, or mixed gas, or what are you looking at there?
No rebreather. Rebreathers terrify me.
Same.
I'm actually going to at some point I'm probably going to do a pool session for my podcast, hopefully, do an intro on rebreather.
Yeah.
Past that, I'm out. I got ADHD. It's way too easy for me to like forget stuff when I get too excited or whatever.
Yeah.
And everybody I've talked to about rebreathers are like, no, you got to start planning on Tuesday if you're going to dive with them Saturday. So I kill myself.
Yeah. See,
So
that's my
no,
thing. I get phone calls all the time. Hey, can you help me out? I lost my phone down here, and it's sometimes it's like, yeah, okay, I can do it. Let's go. And like the stuff's in the truck, and I just jump in, and 5 minutes later I'm in the water. So that whole must plan out, must have all the gases, must have, that's the thing. The other thing up here, Yellowknife is like Yellowknife has everything you need in a town. So I mean, we got a Canadian Tire, we got a Walmart. It doesn't have everything you might want. So it's like if it's not something that appeals to the masses, it's probably hard to get here. So like gases and stuff would be a bit of a challenge up here, and replacement equipment would be a bit of a challenge. So that's for me that, you talk about like risk levels. My instructor, Andy, he passed away on a rebreather in the canals. I never read a report, but this was like just after doing my instructor course. Andy Phillips dies on a rebreather accident. You're just like, man, this guy was diving like 5 times a day, every day. Like, must have had thousands, tens of thousands of dives. If somebody like that can have an accident, it's like, nah, I'm gonna stick to air that I can manage easily and not have to worry about things.
now, can you guys get nitrox up there?
I would have to blend it myself, and that's another one of those things like, not worth doing it. So
Yeah, that's pretty expensive venture to get into.
yeah, and a lot of my dives, I mean, realistically, like the water's so cold up here, especially at depth. Like there's only vegetation from kind of 0 to 15 feet. After that, there's no more vegetation in any of the lakes. So you're looking at mud or bedrock. So unless you're looking for something, it's just like it's not exciting to go to depth. So the vast majority of my dives are 30 feet or less up here. Now there are dives that there's drop offs and you're looking for something cool and you push it and you go down to 80, or we're doing like advanced open water dives and we're going down to 100. But those are pretty much bounce dives. It's like, oh, let's go check out 100 feet. Okay, we're down here. Great. Everything sucks. We're good. All right. You've used your air. Let's go up now.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely see where that would definitely limit the amount of time that you want to spend underwater, especially when it's that cold
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Like
So,
if I sent you some of my dive profiles, there's like a thermocline in the larger lakes, and it's roughly about 30 feet, and it's an 8 to 10 degree drop, and it's super
oh yeah,
interesting to see. I don't know if you've ever really looked at thermoclines, but it's just like
yep.
looking at a highway on a hot day where you get the shimmering coming up. So it's just like that's really interesting to see. It sucks to go under it, but
Yeah, it definitely does when you hit that thermocline, especially on your face. It's like, yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's the other thing too for like I've gone out, I've bought or purchased the gear for wetsuits for people to use. Like we're using those Neotex, the five,
yep.
six, 7 ones. So when people are going
On the
diving
Hollis
for
one.
training up here, yeah, yeah. So we'll put
Yeah,
them
I
in
just
that.
got one of those actually.
Nice. I love them. And they're great for students. But then, like, to do those colder, deeper dives, like, okay, you're new to diving, but if you want to do this, you need to buy your own dry suit. Like, I haven't gotten myself to the point where I need to have an inventory of dry suits for people to use. So, I mean, we get the BCDs, we got the regulators, and we got the suits and fins and gloves and stuff, but, you know, setting the cash aside to outfit everyone else is like, man, it's hard to make a business model to do that up here.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, dry suits that are insane. I remember back in the '90s, I bought a Viking Pro heavy duty at the time, and it was like
Yeah.
everything in was like $1,200, which was a lot at the time. But
Yeah.
then I go to look at. I started buying gear again this year and went to buy dry suits. It's like $5,500.
I know. Yeah. Exactly.
So,
That's I set
however,
myself up as a dealer with a bunch of different brands, which has increased my storage requirements in the house because now I have like, oh, I can get this. You know, it's that mental justification is, oh, if somebody else is placing an order, I'll just throw this on and get it at kind of dealer cost.
so does that drive your wife nuts?
Yeah. We live in a small house too. So our house is only 1,100 square feet. So I mean, like, I got, shelving systems in the office full of scuba gear lying around as I look around. There's scuba gear on the back deck. There's scuba gear under the house. So yeah, but she's at her happy place is pottery. So she overfloods the house with pottery stuff as she's making pottery. So it's a win-win for us. We both split the floor space amongst our hobbies.
Yeah, we actually live in a 900 square foot place, so a bit smaller than your place.
Yeah.
And the other day, my wife, because she designated one of the closets out in the front for me for all my dive gear stuff, and the amount of dive gear I accumulated over the last year has been like absolutely insane. And now she's like, the other day, she's like, okay, I think we need to make these two closets a walk-in for you.
Yeah. Nah, that's great. Yeah, I just accept my office will always be a disaster as I look at, cameras charging on the ground and stuff drying right now. Oh, the dry suits we used yesterday, they're sitting up in the bathroom. I had to put a hanger in so we could drip dry into the tub. So it took over.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same thing when I come home. All my stuff goes into the bathroom. Everything's all wet. Let it dry out. She's like, "Can I use the shower?" Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, I'll move this.
yeah, yeah.
So the joys of all the wet dive gear
Oh
afterwards.
yeah. That's been fun. I tell you though, that it's like again, the thing about diving is just I keep telling my students like whatever you're interested in. Like I love going into murky water and finding people's things, but that's my jam. That doesn't have to be your jam. Like I've got students who are interested in, macro photography. I'm like, okay, I love that for you. Like let's go in and work on photography or there's some people who love the finding things. There's people who like looking at the vegetation. There's people who like looking at the animals or whatever. And it's just like, there's so many paths you can go down to. Is like, if you got to find your interest and go dive into that or jump into that a little deeper. Like my latest thing is macro photography, which is I really love doing, like jumping in
Cool.
and getting close up with critters. And then you're just, it's great. Like, so I'm not, Coast Guard, which is fisheries and oceans. There's a guy there who wrote his doctorate thesis on sculpins. So it's like sculpins are
Really?
kind of neat little creatures, but it's nice to have somebody to go, hey, what about this sculpin? I saw this. What's this? And have somebody who's actually knowledgeable to tell you, like, in depth what those things are.
Yeah. So what kind of camera setup do you use?
I've got the Olympus, the OM system, the TG7.
Oh, okay.
And then,
Yep.
so I've gotten the case. What was the name of that company? 2 seconds. It's branded OM systems. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Cool.
So slap on a couple of lights and away you go.
Cool. I have done I've in the past, when I wasn't into diving, I've actually done a lot of professional motocross photography
Oh, nice.
and stock car racing photography. I actually have started shooting because of this podcast and also diving. My wife's like, okay, I'm buying you a camera. You have to video for me. She can't dive anymore.
Okay.
So she actually got COVID in 2020 and she's got asthma now.
Oh, no.
So it's actually a real bummer because we never dove together before.
Yeah.
And I mean, she's done some amazing diving. She used to do cave diving. She lived in the Bahamas. And she's fully behind me doing this. Actually, she has booked me a trip to the Bahamas on a Blackbeard's liveaboard for a week.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I'm pretty pumped about that. I'm going to get some more photography equipment for that because the two things that excite me the most about diving are wrecks and sharks.
Nice.
And I want to see some big sharks. So for me, going to the Bahamas is going to be amazing. Going to the Exumas. I cannot wait to be in the water with like 12 and 13-foot sharks.
Yeah.
It's going to be incredible. So, I mean, I every time it was funny when I was in Jamaica, every dive they're like, okay, what do you want to see on this dive? And I'm like, sharks.
Yeah.
Big sharks. And he's like, what is it with you and sharks? I said, I want to see big sharks.
Yeah.
Even if I only see one big 12-foot reef shark, I'd be cool, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Jamaica, unfortunately, awesome diving, but generally in where they do all their diving, they only get a lot of nurse sharks and stuff like that. So I saw a couple of nurse sharks, which was cool. And I mean, I've seen lots of nurse sharks before, even in the past when I was diving down in Florida and stuff. So for me, I want to see some of the big guys.
Yeah, it was funny. So Claire is passionate. Like, I think she wanted to be a marine biologist, and it's somewhere along the way she decided nursing was where she wanted to go. But I still think she has that marine biologist vibe. Like, we went to Cozumel, and we went on a bull shark dive. And
you did the bull shark dive.
There were 2 bull shark dives going around, and it was. I'm fascinated. Like, here's this monstrous, huge fish swimming around us. And I've got this video of Claire. She was busy looking at the sand, digging through the sand and picking up little itty bitty shells. And I look at her. I was like, what's wrong with you? Like, there's a big fucking shark behind you. And she goes, She wasn't into it. And we get to the surface. I'm like, what are you doing? There's bull sharks swimming around. Like, enjoy the moment. And she's like, I've done these dives in Fiji where you're surrounded by 50 hammerhead sharks. Like, this was a little boring for me. Like, okay.
And how many bull sharks did you see?
I think might have been like 5 down there at the time, just kind of all swimming around. Yeah.
Yeah, that's still awesome. I mean, I've heard when I was in Cozumel last November, um I was talking to a bunch of guys who'd actually been on the shark dive down there
Yeah.
with the thing, and they were telling me like they take you right out to the mating grounds and drop you in, and the days that they went out, they were seeing like 50 and 60 bull sharks.
Yeah. Crazy.
So yeah, which would be phenomenal. So, I mean, do you okay? So, out of all the sharks that you've seen when you've been diving down south and stuff, which ones are you afraid of more?
I don't think any. And that's not out of lack of respect for the beast. It's like, I like cheeseburgers. If somebody were to put, liver in front of me, I wouldn't want to eat it because that's not what I enjoy eating. Uh, I just, you realize that sharks, like, you're not on the menu for them. Like Jaws did a disservice to make everyone think you're the item that's chewy
Oh
and
yeah,
crunchy. But you're not the thing. You probably leave a bad taste in the mouth and give them an upset stomach. So like sharks aren't interested. So once you kind of get that mindset, it's like, okay, like I respect the danger or the force of nature that these creatures are, but I don't know. It's you understand that the attacks are rare. You understand that you're not on the menu. You give them the respect that they warrant. So I don't think so. Now, having said that, I haven't come up against a great white yet, so that might change my mind. Actually,
I actually might get to do that this summer.
nice. There was one time in the St. John River, a sturgeon came up, and the water's dark and murky, and you look over, and there's this thing tracking along beside you, and you realize the thing is bigger than you, and they look like freaking dinosaurs underwater. And I didn't know there were
Oh
sturgeons
yeah.
in the water there. And then to have this big monstrous thing just come, and it was just one of those moments where it comes up, checks you out, and then veers off. And just when
Wow.
you're looking over at this thing that looks like huge and scaly and reptilian and the size of a dinosaur or something that should be in Jurassic Park, then you have a moment of. um, but then again, my friends make fun of me too. We were doing a job on the pipeline, the water main here in town. The city wanted some video, so we dove along this 8 kilometer long pipeline over a couple of days, and there were a couple times it's so dark. It was the visibility sucked. It was dark, and you got the camera in front of you, and you're just kind of going along, following pipe, following pipe, following pipe. And every once in a while, there was like a massive burbot that made a burrow under the pipe, and those things spring into action when you're going past. So that flurry of flashing activity in front of you after the past, 40 minutes of nothing but, mud,
Nothing.
white pipe, mud, white pipe. Um, yeah, that kind of makes you surprised, gives you a little scare. I wouldn't say I'm a scaredy cat,
Yeah.
but I react poorly.
So, like, what's it like to have a big sturgeon come up next to you? Because first of all, they don't like being around humans generally, right?
Didn't know the thing existed. So that took some research afterwards. Like, what the F was that? That was huge.
Oh, so you didn't even know they existed before you seen the one.
No, no. That was like, I don't know, man. You go to all of my dives up to then. What was that? I would have had, my basic course in the Saint Jean sur Richelieu River, so there was nothing to see except mud and poor visibility. Advanced in Dominican Republic, and we saw. I don't even think we saw anything big. Maybe a turtle on those dives. So then St. John River was kind of like the next set of dives that I was getting into. So I don't think I had encountered a large animal underwater until that point. So yeah, and then I didn't realize that they existed in that riverway at all. Like you knew enough, like, oh yeah, like a sturgeon, if somebody mentioned that, it's like, yeah, big fish, they're out in BC or something. Like, no, they're in the
Yeah.
St. John River too. It was just definitely like was not mentally prepared for big thing that looks like it could take your leg off.
Well, not only that, I mean, they are scary looking. I mean, I know somebody that when I was a kid, I remember one of my dad's friends caught one. It jumped in the boat and he literally jumped off the boat.
Yeah.
He was that terrified of it
Oh,
once
yeah.
he got in the boat.
Yeah, yeah. It'll make you question your decisions for sure.
So, what do you got coming up in the next year now that you're, well, sort of retired, going to the Coast
Yeah.
Guard and all that stuff? And it doesn't sound like you're slowing down much at all.
Nah. Retirement, that's more free time to go scuba diving. We're gonna film season 7 of the show. So that airs on
Cool.
Northwest Tell up here, and then once Northwest Tell's done with it, we post it on YouTube. So we
Awesome.
started that this week, where we had an episode of son learns to scuba dive. So we're gonna have to come up with some plans for 5 or 6 more episodes over the summer. There's this interesting story up here of somebody robbed one of the mines back in the day, stole the payroll safe. Yeah.
No,
And
really?
apparently they were doing a getaway, and it was on behind a skidoo that they were towing it, and where they went on Great Slave Lake, there's a section that's notoriously bad for thin ice, and the safe crashed through and sank. So
Oh,
apparently there's a safe from one of the mines that, and the way we got the story was buddy who stole it confessed to somebody on his deathbed that he wanted to clear his spirit before passing on. So he told the story
really?
of kind of where it was and what happened. So I don't know that it was actually even greatly reported that the mine was robbed, let alone a safe. But we're trying to dig into that little adventure.
So how much reportedly did they figure was in this safe, apparently?
That's open for speculation. Like, we're just starting to research. The other thing too, the mine that it was stolen from has been closed for a long time, so it's trying to find records or trying to find kind of any info about that. So I'm sure there's some old timers in town who might remember something. So that might be an adventure. There's a sunken DC-3 that we were looking for. That
Really?
that one was a plane that was on an ice runway and then crashed through the ice. So they apparently took all the equipment off and all the engines off, and then they let the frame sink in. So that's kind of known where the runway was. So it's presumably near the end of the runway or somewhere in that vicinity. It's just it's just the time to go out with sonar and ping the bottom looking for it. I don't know. We'll see what comes up. There's always different stories. Oh, there's actually a really good one. It's the HMS, or it's not the HMS. It's the Albany, which was a Hudson Bay ship that sank out in the Hudson Bay, and the entire crew expired. They apparently ended up on something called Marble Island. So, but
Really?
nobody survived to tell how they passed away. So there's a 300-year-old frigate out there, and it had been investigated a couple of years ago. I want to say like 20 years ago or so. So it was what was the guy's name? Wrote a book about it. It was John Geiger. So he's part of the Canadian Geographic Society. So they had gone out and actually did scuba diving on it. So we kind of want to go back and see if we can pick up on the space. But yeah, that was the story of Dead Silence.
Wow. And that
So
wrecks in
James
Hudson
Knight
Bay.
set sail with 2 ships. Yeah. So they went looking for the Northwest Passage. Neither he nor his 40 men were ever seen again. So 3 centuries later, John Geiger located the ship submerged and well preserved near the remote Marble Island. After 4 Arctic summers of intense investigation, they uncover a tale of intrigue and betrayal. So we kind of want to go check out that site. It'd be interesting to see a 300-year-old wreck. But again, it's the logistics of
deep is
getting
it?
over. Apparently 30 feet.
That's it?
Yeah.
Wow. And it's actually
It's
really
the
good intact.
remoteness. There's actually a YouTube video on that. So they show some of the footage of going out there. But
I'll have
yeah,
to check that
seems to
out.
be. I'll let you know when I check that one out. Yeah, it's the Albany. It was the name of the boat, and James Knight was the captain.
Or let me know if you want an extra diver for it.
There you go. Yeah, it's all those ones though. It's like the logistics is a pain in the north. Like, there's no highways in Nunavut,
Oh yeah.
so if you want to go over there, you got to fly into Rankit, fly in the get dive gear. Then this island is about 30 kilometers into the Hudson Bay, so you got to get a boat and get out there and set up camp, and then you got to worry about polar bears, and so it's just the logistical challenges are ever present here.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. And not only that, I mean, I don't know what it's like now, but I mean, when I lived in the Arctic, the cost of shipping stuff was absolutely ridiculous. And
Yeah,
I'm sure it's a million times higher now. Like, what's just so that people get an idea, let's talk groceries for a second here,
yeah,
because people probably won't believe what you are paying for stuff up in the Arctic.
yeah,
So all right, so what's 4 liters of milk worth up there now? When I was there, it was about $14,
yeah,
and that was in '99.
yeah. It's probably kicking about the same. It's worse in the smaller communities too. So Yellowknife's, we have a highway access south. So the costs that even in Yellowknife we experience that are higher. Oh man, what's huge up here? They just increased power rates. We had one of the worst power rates in Canada. We were paying 36 cents per kilowatt hour. And I think they just raised
Oh,
it like 20%. So I mean, it's our fuel costs are ridiculous. That one hasn't changed. Good thing in Yellowknife, like everything's so close, you might only fill up once every other month on the truck,
yeah.
but when you do, it's a $200 venture to do that.
Yeah, what's gas a
I
liter up there now?
don't know, say 160 something. I I haven't even checked lately.
Well,
I even in the middle of winter, I'll walk to work as opposed to going downtown and parking just for those reasons. Yeah,
I I remember once when I lived in Iqaluit, I went into a store and there was actually a stack of Pepsi that they had just gotten in off Sea Lift with a big sign marked "Fresh Pepsi," 35.99 a case.
yep, the math checks out. Like you can't even go out here. Like I went to a restaurant. I took Claire out. We went for dinner, and we had like one appetizer. We had like I think it was like the chicken sandwich each, and a drink each, and it came to $100. And we're like, what are we doing? Like these prices are ridiculous. Anywhere down
Yep.
south, this is a $50 meal, maybe. It's like, man. But then,
Even down here though, the prices have gone like through the roof for everything down here as
yeah,
well. I mean, we don't even go out and eat out near as often anymore as what we used to,
yeah,
even since the pandemic. And then when we do go out, like I used to love going to concerts. I can't warrant spending going to a concert in Toronto
yeah.
because by the time I go and buy tickets, just get my food and stuff like that for the night, buy a couple of t-shirts or whatever, you're looking at $700 or $800. That's half a trip for me to go to, Mexico for a
Oh,
week or
absolutely.
something like
Come
that.
on, in, Jake. My empathy dog is coming in. Get it away. Yeah,
It's all right. From the show.
we went down to see Weezer last summer, and he was that show was like, oh, hey, there's a cost of the airfare, here's a cost of hotels. Suddenly you're in for a couple $1,000s. It's like, yeah, why? But I mean, you got to get out of the north every once in a while, so we justify it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, the isolation up there will definitely get to you if you don't get out
Yeah,
every once in a while for sure. So, but
here, come up, say hi. Come
well,
on, up, get up here. Come up.
what kind of
He's
dog you got?
I've got a northern special, so he's a lab husky mix.
Oh, cool.
Got one blue eye, one brown eye. Super good boy.
Ah,
Yeah.
Cool.
He's a super empathetic dog, which I love about him. If I'm having a bad day, he's just like full on focus. Like, you okay? You okay? Like, yeah, okay. I am now, buddy. You're good.
That's the absolute best thing about dogs. Unconditional love. They're just always all over you. I got 2 Chihuahuas actually.
Okay.
So believe me, not my first breed choice of dog. Especially after I got the one of them and I find out that they've got a 20-year lifespan.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, you've got to be kidding. 20 years with a dog? I was thinking, okay, like 10, 12 years, you know.
Yeah. These things last
Normally
forever.
16 max. Yeah. Luckily for 20-year dogs, I actually got 2 really, really well-behaved ones. So
Nice. Well, it's like
that aren't overly
yeah. They're not overly.
They're not overly yappy or anything like that. They're actually generally pretty quiet in the house.
Not gonna
They
lie.
bark when they're outside.
That's what I envisioned when you said you got Chihuahua. I was like, man, 2 yappy little mutts. That'd be painful.
Oh, yeah, well, believe me, was not my first choice of dog. And when we were looking for dogs during the pandemic, you couldn't get one because there were so many dog scams.
Yeah.
We're actually on the way to pick up a dog, and somebody canceled it on us. And we had actually just walked out of the pet store with like cage and all the stuff for it.
Oh no.
So yeah, and then my wife said, well, I got this friend who's got a pet store and they need to get rid of these dogs because they weren't, with the COVID laws, they weren't actually allowed to actually go in and feed the animals and have all their staff in there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and she's like, but it's a Chihuahua. And I'm like, Chihuahua? Like, any of the things I've had with Chihuahuas have been relatively minor, except for an uncle I had when I was a kid growing up, and he had one, and let me tell you, he was not my favorite dog by any means. He was a nasty little thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't.
So
I kind of like the labs, is what I've gone for, but I'll go for huskies next. I like the chatter they come up with.
Huskies are awesome. Be very prepared though, because the training is brutal on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, they are stubborn. They love to run, obviously.
Oh my goodness.
I actually had one when I was up there when I lived up in Iqaluit. I actually had one that I got from a sled dog team.
Yeah.
And I housebroke it and stuff like that, which actually I got a lot of heat for ruining a perfectly good working dog.
Yeah.
From some of my friends. But I mean, amazing dogs. Absolutely. I love them. Yeah. And especially the way that you can get them chattering and howling away. And, you know,
yeah. We did a dive
speaking
up here for a guy who is like a renowned dog sledder, lives out in a place called Hoarfrost. Dave Olson's the guy's name, and a bit of a local legend, but we went out there to help him fix a 100-year-old boat. And he's got this homestead out there, and he has like dogs that are working dog sled team. And just you realize, like, man, this is a lifestyle commitment that you got going on just for having these huskies and having to run them and having to use them and having to work them. And he's one of those guys who does like those 1,000-kilometer long races. Just like, man, how do you invest the
like
time
the
in
Iditarod?
that? Yeah, he's done the Iditarod.
Yeah, that's I have never been on a sled dog. I would love to actually go sled dogging, but I mean, yeah, those are incredible to be able to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I would like to thank you for joining us today. This has been amazing to have you on, and I'm going to have all the links to your stuff, Yellowknife Divers and everything down below.
Great.
And I look forward to hopefully diving with you at some point. Maybe I can make a trip up to Yellowknife and we'll get some dives done.
Anytime. We'll go show you what muddy water looks like.
Hey, I'm in. Let's go looking for some gold, actually. right? I'd be more into looking for some gold.
Yeah, we can arrange that.
So thank you for joining the Deadfoot Diver. Awesome. Thank you for joining the Deadfoot Diver podcast today. Remember, like, subscribe, and donate. And have a great day. See you next week.